they last, how big of a cool down they'll bring, and just made a change to your weekend forecast. We'll look at the 7-day planner too.
At midday, some sad news to report. Anti-apartheid icon Winnie Mandela, the former wife of South Africa's late President Nelson Mandela, has died at the age of 81. Now, according to a family statement, she died at a Johannesburg hospital today after her health began to fail early this year. Along with her former husband, Winnie Mandela became one of the most recognizable faces in the decades-long struggle to end apartheid. She spent time behind bars during her years fighting for that cause. Well, California officials believe an SUV that crashed off a cliff last week, killing a family, may have been intentional. The state's highway patrol says information pulled from the SUV shows it was stopped and then suddenly accelerated. Investigators didn't find any evidence that the car attempted to stop. The bodies of 5 members of the Hart family have been recovered, but 3 are still missing. Investigators say the accident may have occurred days after authorities in Washington state opened an investigation into whether the family was starving their children. Well, still to come, a new data breach, I should say, to tell you about. Steve Buden is here in studio with Financial Focus, and he's going to tell us about the latest company to get hit. Plus, new information in the investigation into a deadly Tesla crash while on autopilot mode. The complaint the driver filed before that crash. Well, right now, the stocks are seeing a big loss on Wall Street. Let's take a live look at the big board here, and you can see stocks down almost 700 points. The drop comes after China announced new tariffs on some U.S. goods. Our financial analyst Steve Buden is here, and we're going to talk with him in the studio in just a few minutes to get a better idea of what's going on. We are enjoying great weather here in Las Vegas, but parts of the country, well, not so lucky. A spring storm packing bitter cold and heavy wet snow across the plains and the Northeast. Chicago had its coldest Easter in a decade, and the Northeast racing for another round of spring snow. And the following This is following, I should say, the 4 nor'easters in the last month, but boy, it never stops. And I really was surprised to kind of see that heavy snow there in New York this morning, but the weather so bad that the New York Yankees had to cancel and postpone their home opener. The game has been rescheduled for tomorrow, but I don't know how that's going to look.
Yeah.
Not really giving it much leeway.
It's pretty crazy. So New York City did pick up more than 4 inches of snow with this system. Heavy, wet snow, so power outages can be an issue. But this is the first winter, I believe, that they've had 4 inches of snow in New York in December and January and February and March and now April.
Wow.
So pretty crazy even by their northeastern cold standards. And there's a look at 13 First Alert Desert Doppler. Yeah, we can look anywhere in the country and track precipitation. And we've got to go way off to the northeast coast to find that snow. It's leaving Boston right now. There are a couple of chilly rain showers in the northern part of our state. A cold off and on rain for Salt Lake City's forecast today. And this band of cloudiness that you see up to our north, that is a cold front that's going to sweep into Las Vegas from the north to the south late today into this evening. That's the reason I think there will be an increase in late afternoon cloud cover. That's also the reason our winds are going to stir up for the tail end of the afternoon commute, and it will stay breezy tonight into early tomorrow. But I do think that we'll be back in some sunshine by tomorrow afternoon. Then midweek through the end of the weekend, even into the weekend, we'll have more clouds than sunshine as a few disturbances pass by to our north. Something you're going to hear about as we get closer to Friday and Saturday. Do you see all the real heavy dark greens in Northern California? Pineapple Express atmospheric river situation setting up later this week, Friday into Saturday. That means a lot of rain for Northern California and a lot of rain for the northern part of our state. But right now, we don't anticipate any real big shower chances to sneak down to Las Vegas this upcoming weekend. We'll watch that. If it changes, we'll be the first to let you know. Later this afternoon into this evening, a couple of 30-mile-per-hour gusts from the north as that cold front comes in around dinner time. A few lingering 25-mile-per-hour gusts first thing tomorrow morning. I think tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday, fairly calm conditions. A lot of sunshine out there right now. 84 the forecast today. We will, behind our cold front, drop to highs in the mid-70s tomorrow, but we'll warm it right back up into the mid-80s by Wednesday. And we're going to hold on to the 80s. We'll be well into the 80s most of this week, save tomorrow. It looks like the clouds will thicken up on Saturday, maybe maybe a couple of isolated showers dancing around the valley on Saturday, but the bigger takeaway from this weekend's forecast is going to be a lot of wind on Saturday. We could catch some 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So if you've got outdoor activities planned for Saturday, just keep that thought in the back of your mind. Maybe a bit windy to really have a great time outside this weekend. Tree pollen levels remain high today and tomorrow. They might drop off just a touch by the middle of the week. It's kind of been the case the last couple of weeks. So here's the 7-day planner. Behind that weekend wind on Saturday, maybe a little cool down to the upper 70s to finish off next weekend Sunday. But we've got 5 of the next 7 days well into the 80s, which I know is a thing that Dana is fond of. Other than the breezes late today and tonight, Dana should be calmer Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll warm right back up into the mid-80s by the middle of the week.
All right, thanks, Justin. Hey, it's time for our financial focus. Analyst Steve Buden joins us in the studio to talk a bunch of different topics, but we had just mentioned at the top of the block showing the stocks down, what, 700 points almost?
Yeah, this is a tough day.
Yeah, it's not good, and it's because apparently of these China tariffs on U.S. goods, right?
Yeah, that's one of the leading factors, what you saw behind me. That's a tough day in the markets.
Yeah.
The Chinese responded to the United States levying tariffs of some of their goods, and there was 128 different products identified, mostly agricultural and meat items, which come from the Midwest, which is right in Trump territory. So the Chinese, I think, were pretty smart in picking where they were going to assess the tariffs. Now, again, it's only $3 billion, and with 2 large economies like U.S. and China, this is just a shot across the bow. And I think if they don't get their arms around this soon, this could really escalate, and I think that's what's scaring the markets.
So, I mean, we'll continue to do this, you think, into tomorrow, the next day, or is this like a day-only thing?
Who knows? With what's going on coming out of Washington, with just no coherent policy regarding how to handle this trade issue. And the problem is the markets are responding minute by minute to these reactions. So anybody with a 401k or an investment account, you know, relax, take a deep breath. This is going to keep going on.
Yeah, we've had a lot of big differences lately that kind of go week to week. All right, let's talk about Macau and their casino gains. They've apparently been doing pretty good, right?
Right, and here's the flip side. We'll give you some good news. The Macau casinos, mostly are Vegas-based properties, have had the 20th month in a row of increased revenues.
Wow.
So on the one hand, you know, the Chinese might be imposing some tariffs, but on the other hand, they've really reduced the corruption investigations, which has impeded the Macau traffic, and that bodes well for the local casinos here.
Yeah, it's always interesting because you forget. I mean, there's so many, you know, there's the Wynn and all that over there, and so you always wonder about. I know it's like it's a completely different over there, isn't it? Don't they base more of what they take in on gaming than entertainment like we do?
Yeah, from my understanding is that you basically have 2 different markets. The Vegas market has really been moving away from gaming. Over there, that culture, they really do like the gaming part of it. And it just bodes well, though. That money that's being made in Macau can come back here and have the casinos reinvest over here.
All right, let's talk about these latest data breaches. Seems to be a lot of these lately. And you were saying, what, a bunch of new companies are a part of the latest hit? Yeah,
it's a shame that we're doing this weekly, but Under Armour, Saks, Lord & Taylor are the 3 latest. And Under Armour, they have their own version of the Fitbit, that little wrist gizmo that you put on and it tracks your health issues.
Very popular.
That's 150 million potentially have been hit by that. So it's pretty serious. I know a couple of weeks ago I had a credit card compromised, and it's really annoying. You know, you get a call from the credit card, they cancel you, and all those auto pays that you sign up for, you have to reestablish, and it's just really annoying. But it gets to the point that you have to track this almost daily to make sure that your personal information is not out there. But 3 large companies, so anybody who interacts with those 3 companies, be on the lookout.
Right, and then you have to call and dispute it and go back and forth and all that. So, but at
like you have nothing better to do.
I know, but at least they usually work with you.
They do.
They're pretty good, right? Yeah.
And nowadays you're not guilty till proven innocent. If you call and say, I didn't make this charge, usually you'll get the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Whereas a few years ago, they thought you were lying. But it's just happening so frequently now, and we'll just keep reporting as I read about it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Steve.
Sure.
Good segment, and we'll be back after this. Well, there's new information in the investigation into a deadly Tesla crash in California. The driver was killed when his car smashed into a highway barrier after being set on autopilot. ABC's Gio Benitez is tracking the new developments.
This morning, Tesla releasing new information about a deadly crash involving one of its cars it says was in autopilot mode. The driver, Walter Huang, was heading to work at Apple in Northern California last week when his $80,000 Tesla slammed into this barrier. Now, Tesla says the car sent him several warnings to put his hands on the wheel earlier in the drive, and that his hands were not detected on the wheel for 6 seconds prior to the collision. Huang's brother telling ABC station KGO that the 38-year-old engineer had complained 7 to 10 times that the car would swivel toward that same exact barrier during autopilot. Walter took it into the dealership addressing the issue, but they couldn't duplicate it there.
That information has been received by the CHP. They've been acting on it for some time now.
Tesla telling us overnight it has no record of Huang complaining to the company about the autopilot mode, but it did find a complaint about Huang's navigation system, which the car maker says is unrelated to autopilot. Tesla also saying its drivers make more than 200 successful autopilot trips per day on this exact stretch of road, and that the accident was so severe because the barrier had been crushed in a previous accident and not repaired. This crash comes just weeks after this Volvo, used as one of Uber's self-driving test cars, hit and killed a pedestrian in Arizona. The rideshare company has now halted that test program.
Well, that was Gio Benitez reporting. The NTSB now says it's unhappy with Tesla's release of investigative information, but that it's looking at all aspects of the crash, including the driver's previous complaints. It could take a few weeks before we see the preliminary findings of their investigation. Well, still to come, President Trump making a major statement on DACA over the weekend, leaving the fate of millions of dreamers in limbo. You're watching 13 Action News live at midday. Join us for our next half hour.
Now, from Las Vegas, this is 13 Action News live at midday.
Right now on Action News Live at midday, a skincare line made with pot, and one local mom is behind the unique idea. Plus, Apple CEO blasts Mark Zuckerberg over Facebook's failure to protect users' data. Now, Zuckerberg is firing back. Plus,
what's up, deplorable?
Well, after just 2 episodes, Roseanne has been renewed for a second season. Why the show is grabbing so much attention from Washington. Thanks for joining us for the second half of 13 Action News Live at midday. I'm Dana Roselli, and Todd is on assignment, but Justin is here with a look at the fabulous forecast. You're like the man this week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it when you read the words I put in the script. We are talking about a lot of sunshine, a lot of warmth, and for now, not too much wind outside. So yeah, I am the man.
You
kind
are
of
the
a little
man.
bit
Own
right
it.
now. 75 right now in Las Vegas. No wind at McCarran. That's always great to say in the springtime in Vegas. A 9-mile-per-hour breeze at the Henderson Executive Airport. A little 3-mile-per-hour breeze up at the North Las Vegas Airport. A lot of blue sky out there. That will send temperatures into the upper 70s at noon and low 80s by 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. Despite increasing clouds as the late afternoon time frame wears on, we'll still muster highs in the low 80s. The wind right now, as I mentioned, not a big deal, but Dana, that wind is going to be quite noticeable probably before dinner time. I'll pinpoint which parts of the valley we'll see the winds kick in first. We'll also talk about how strong those winds will be and how long they'll last in just a moment.
All right, thanks, Justin. A new line of cannabis products is aimed just at women, and a local mother started it in her kitchen. Parker Collins shows us what she created and what inspired her.
Broke my heart. You know, she would come home and say that she didn't feel confident, she didn't feel beautiful.
Bella is growing up with eczema. She's tried all kinds of creams and medications. It's hard on her and her mom.
She really spent a lot of her education time being picked on. She was the lizard lady. They teased her for how her skin was.
So Bella's mom started a line of skincare products named after her daughter. They come from marijuana without getting you high. They are CBD infused. They are also made for women. Females are in all the advertisements.
All these products that I've tried have a very strong scent, masculine scent. I don't want to smell like a men's locker room.
Bath bombs, creams, and a solution you drop right on your tongue. All of it is made in North Las Vegas.
It's been amazing just to give to my friends and their moms and everyone who's suffering in pain and see how much better they're feeling so instantly.
A mom's quest to make her daughter feel better can now start making some green. Parker Collins, 13 Action News.
Well, for more information on the product and how to get it, we have posted the story on our website with a link. Go to KTNV.com. Well, students who can't afford to see a doctor now have a new place to go. The Carroll and Bauer School-Based Health Center is reopening at the Basic Academy. It's over in Henderson. The center offers primary care and preventative health services to children of the Clark County School District. It accepts Medicaid, but will offer free services to those in need. The center will be open Mondays and Thursdays, 7 a.m. to noon. Well, jury selection is now underway in Bill Cosby's sex assault retrial. This is him arriving at court this morning. You can see the snow coming down there. The criminal case in Pennsylvania will actually hang on the word of Andrea Constand. Now, she claims that she was at Cosby's home near Philadelphia in January of 2004 when she says he drugged her, then assaulted her. He denies it. In Cosby's first trial, that ended in a hung jury. His attorneys argued Cosby and Constand had a consensual sexual relationship, and they questioned her version of what happened. Well, this morning, the White House celebrating the 140th Easter egg roll, but the president was on Twitter with a different message. He was on the attack over DACA, blaming Democrats for not having a deal to help the hundreds of thousands of dreamers. ABC's Serena Marshall has the latest now from Washington.
The president back in D.C. and celebrating Easter at the White House and back on Twitter this morning, writing about caravans of people traveling through Mexico and how the Mexican government must not allow them to pass into our country, calling on Congress to act and use the nuclear option if necessary. He claimed DACA is dead because of Democrats, and now everyone wants to get into the DACA bandwagon.
The Democrats have really let them down. It's a shame. And now people are taking advantage of DACA, and that's a shame.
Democrats had offered $25 billion for the president's promised border wall in exchange for a pathway to citizenship for those dreamers. But the president turned them down, as it didn't include changes to visas or cuts to family-based migration. The tweet storm on dreamers all started on Easter Sunday, following this Fox and Friends segment about a caravan of migrants from Central America.
Because they're breaking Mexican laws as well.
The semi-annual protest march takes travelers to an official U.S. border port of entry, where they seek political asylum. Roughly an hour later, this presidential tweet: "There will be no deal to renew DACA." And the message contrary to what he said during that bipartisan meeting earlier this year.
There should be a bill of love. If they come to me with things that I'm not in love with, I'm going to do it.
The problem under current DACA rules, recent arrivals would never qualify for the program. To qualify, you have to be under the age of 31 in 2012. You had to arrive before 2007 and have been under the age of 16 at the time. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Well, tens of thousands of teachers in Oklahoma and Kentucky making their voices heard today. They walked off the job this morning to rally for higher pay. They are inspired by the West Virginia teachers who went on strike until they got a 5% raise. Well, Oklahoma's governor just approved a raise for teachers, but they still make less than the national average. And last week, Kentucky lawmakers passed a bill that makes big changes to the state's pension system. Well, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is firing back at Apple CEO Tim Cook. Cook blasted the social media giant for failing to protect user data. Facebook has admitted that data firm Cambridge Analytica accessed and improperly stored massive amounts of that data. Well, Cambridge Analytica worked on the Trump campaign and used the data to target voters. While Cook recently questioned Facebook's practice of monetizing user data and called for more social media regulation. In a Vox interview today, Zuckerberg said that criticism was unfounded. He said an advertising-supported model was the only way to continue building a service that is free of charge to the user. Well, now to the Roseanne reboot that has millions of Americans tuning in. The smash hit has already been renewed for another season. ABC's Diane Macedo shows us how it's drawing attention from Washington.
What's up, deplorable?
Roseanne is back, and now, after just 2 episodes, the Connor family has been renewed for a second season.
Thank you for making America great again. Mom.
The final numbers are now in. More than 25 million people watched the premiere episode, tackling the political divide within families after the 2016 election.
How could you have voted for him, Roseanne?
He talked about jobs, Jackie. He said he'd shake things up. I mean, this might come as a complete shock to you, but we almost lost our house the way things are going.
Have you looked at the news? Because now things are worse.
Not on the real news.
Oh, police!
The show's also drawing attention from Washington.
If the return of Roseanne and its huge ratings could actually boost the president's own support.
People liked Roseanne in the 90s, they like it now too.
It's not pro-Trump, but it is respectful of Trump voters.
After the premiere, the commander-in-chief himself even placed a phone call to congratulate Roseanne.
Look at her ratings. Look at her ratings.
Outspoken star Roseanne Barr is also garnering attention for her controversial social media posts, including one since deleted tweet referencing a pro-Trump conspiracy theory. But Sarah Gilbert, an executive producer who also plays daughter Darlene, says the show's not about left versus right and never even mentions Trump by name. She says the real focus is how the political climate affects everyday Americans.
The show is not about politics. It's really about what happens to a family when there's a political divide.
All right, that was Diane Macedo reporting there. Still to come, the 8th annual Windy25 race is being held over at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas this weekend, and we have a guest in studio to tell us all about it if you'd like to take part. But first, an explosive new biography giving us a closer look at Meghan Markle's life before Prince Harry, why the book paints her as a calculated social climber.
Fairly calm wind outside right now. Wanted to time the wind out later this afternoon after 3 o'clock on the north side of the valley. Some winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour. Wind gusts could continue through tonight into tomorrow morning. I'll talk about the temperature impacts, and I've got a first alert about some different kind of weather this weekend. That's next.
Well, this midday, we are getting a closer look at Meghan Markle's first marriage. It's part of a new biography called Meghan, a Hollywood Princess. ABC's Ariel Reshef has what we are learning about her failed marriage.
This morning, an explosive new biography by renowned Diana biographer Andrew Morton, giving readers an intimate view into Meghan Markle's life before Prince Harry. The book, Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, examining the breakdown of her marriage to first husband, producer Trevor Engelson. Morton writing, Trevor went from cherishing Meghan to, as one friend observed, feeling like he was a piece of something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. The Hollywood couple lasting only 2 years. The divorce so abrupt the California native sent her ring back through the mail. Morton portraying the soon-to-be princess as a calculated social climber, a networker to her fingertips. She seemed to be recalibrating her life, forging new friendships with those who could develop her career.
While Morton has had some access to friends, former friends, family members, he hasn't had unfettered access to everyone, and he hasn't had unfettered access to Meghan. So it's very difficult to know exactly what picture we're getting.
The book also addressing seemingly inconsistent statements in her engagement interview.
Because I'm from the States, you don't grow up with the same understanding of the royal family, and so while I now understand very clearly there's a global interest there, I didn't know much about him.
Morton quoting a friend saying she was always fascinated by the royal family. She wants to be Princess Diana 2.0. Crying as she and her friends watched Diana's funeral. The biographer elaborating on Markle's alleged fascination with Princess Di. According to family and friends, she was intrigued by Diana not just for her style, but for her independent humanitarian mission, seeing her as a role model.
Meghan said in her engagement interview that she didn't know a lot about Prince Harry, but that doesn't mean that she didn't know a lot about Princess Diana. I mean, who didn't know the story of Princess Diana?
While the accusations may be nothing more than the opinions of jealous friends and family, the book suggests Meghan's interest in Princess Diana was a watershed moment in her life, inspiring Meghan to devote herself to humanitarian work, following in the footsteps of Harry's mother, falling in love and bonding with Prince Harry, standing up for those without a voice.
There's a lot of support for Meghan and Harry out there, a lot of love from members of the public. So I think it would take a lot, and certainly a lot more negativity than this book gives us, to really turn people against her.
Well, that was Ariel Reshef reporting. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, they were set up actually by a mutual friend on a blind date back in July of 2016. And again, the wedding will be in May. Well, it may now be April, but March Madness is still raging, and tonight we will see who will become the men's champion. Top seed Villanova and their powerhouse offense facing off against one of the country's best defenses, number 3 Michigan. Villanova is the favorite to win right now, and perhaps no one will be watching more closely than the D owner Derek Stevens. He actually stands to win $1 million if his Michigan Wolverines take the championship, so it will be interesting to see. Also happening today, it is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day, and according to nationaldaycalendar.com, the average American eats more than 2,000 PB&J sandwiches by the time they graduate from high school. People love the PB&J combination so much that there are alternatives like peanut butter and jelly French toast, cupcakes, even sushi. I don't know about that, but I have a feeling you're a peanut butter and jelly eater. I don't know why. I just know that you like sweets.
That's
and the
true.
jelly mixed with the peanut butter, it's like a sweet combo.
Guilty as charged. A lot of times for breakfast, I'll start off with peanut butter bread and then some honey, which is like a cousin to jam.
Okay.
So I'm in that neighborhood. I once had a peanut butter and jelly hamburger.
Okay.
Incredible. I know, it sounds gross. Don't underestimate it.
Okay,
All
you
right.
like it. I
there
believe
you go.
it.
You're never going to eat that. You're still health conscious. Such a good example to the rest of us. We are looking at a bunch of rain in the northern part of Nevada right now. This band of clouds is very likely going to sink southward toward the Las Vegas Valley by the tail end of the afternoon. That'll bring, well, in addition to the obvious increase in cloud cover late today and this evening, it will also stir up some wind. So although it's fairly calm outside now, I want to time out the wind and let you know that we could catch some 30-mile-per-hour gusts by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It may take until 5 or 6 o'clock until that front gets a little closer to the strip. It'll be moving from north to south, but 25-mile-per-hour gusts will linger tonight. And if you're up early enough, like Dana and I are in the mornings, Good Morning Las Vegas will likely be detailing some 25-mile-per-hour gusts for the first few hours of your Tuesday. Another wave or push of some organized wind is expected later this week, Friday into Saturday and Sunday. Here's a first alert about some 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts at times on Saturday. Also, you can see an increase in cloud cover as we look at the end of the weekend. For at least the first half of the weekend, clouds will win out. And a change I've made to your weekend forecast, going to increase the small chance of a couple of stray showers around the valley on Saturday. Probably not going to have organized rain here in town, but we'll be watching for that slight chance. Right now, a lot of blue sky out there. 84 the forecast today. We'll drop behind our cold front, almost 10 degrees. Tomorrow, the highs in the mid-70s. A brief cool down as we're right back into the mid-80s by Wednesday. Right now, it's 71 in Summerlin, 79 in Green Valley, 85 in Henderson. If you're driving around in the sunshine and this kind of warmth, yeah, you'll have the air conditioner on as you run errands around town through the afternoon. The clouds will increase later this afternoon, and you can see the breezes switching from south-southwest to west-southwest to eventually west-northwest this evening. That's that front coming through with a couple of 20, maybe 30-mile-per-hour gusts in a couple of neighborhoods. Centennial Hills and Aliante and Summerlin, you would likely tap into those breezes first around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. Probably would take a little longer until 6 or 7 p.m. for the winds to get down to the south side of the valley. Here's a look at the 7-day planner. Again, we'll have the 80s more often than not through the balance of this week. And I think as we get toward Friday and Saturday, you know, we're talking about wind, we're talking about more clouds, but we're also talking about our warmest day in the 7-day planner happening Saturday with the high of 87. We'll drop back down to highs in the 70s on Sunday. Dana, no real heavy rain chances in the 7-day planner, but if we did catch a couple of showers, might come in the form of some Saturday sprinkles.
All right, thanks so much. You know what? Saturday sprinkles, hopefully they'll hold off a little on Saturday morning. The 8th annual Windy25 race, is being held at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas this weekend. And Craig Wilhelm is the founder and president of the Memorial Fund. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again.
Yeah, let's first talk about Windy25 and the fundraiser and the Memorial Fund. Tell us a little bit about it. And you were saying this is the 8th year for the race, but 13 years since the accident.
13 years since the accident. So Windy25 was the call sign of the aircraft that went down in Afghanistan on April 6th of 2005, killing 18 soldiers. 5 of them were the crew and 13 passengers. And the Winnie25 Memorial Fund was set up to honor their legacy and memorialize them and say we will never forget their life stories, and we bring their families into events like the race that we're doing this Saturday at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas to rally around the families and let them know that their loved ones are never forgotten.
Yeah, it's definitely important. And what are some of the emotions you've experienced, because you've done this in the past, when people come out? Are they energetic to get out and help and be together? Is it a somber moment?
No, it's not. I mean, there's definitely emotion, but you know, we're here to celebrate their loved one's life legacy, so it is a celebration, and the Las Vegas community has been so supportive in coming out and supporting the race. We usually get about 300 to 350 runners, and about 18 of our family members are coming back this year, as well as 80 of our soldiers from the unit when the aircraft went down. So we really do rally around these families and let them know that their loved ones are not forgotten.
Oh, that's great. As far as anyone wanting to get involved now as they're watching, what do they do? Can they just show up? Do they go to the website? We just showed the website
Absolutely.
there.
It's a run walk, and so it's something to memorialize these soldiers and their families and let their families know that we will never forget their loved ones. So you can sign up at Windy25.org. It's our website. The race is $40, and every bit of that money goes to the families of fallen heroes through our 2 charity partners. Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which offers 24/7 care and assistance to anyone who's lost a loved one to military service, regardless of circumstance. As well as this year, we're giving to an organization called Legacies Alive, which founded by combat veterans. Legacies Alive works with Gold Star families to create lasting memorials in the communities that they live in to memorialize their loved one.
Oh, great. And if people can't take part in this and they want to help anytime through the year or whatever, do they just contact you guys?
Absolutely. On our website, there's a contact area, but you can also donate to our website. And again, all of that money, we don't keep any of it. All of it goes to families of fallen heroes as a tribute to our Windy25 flight.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be across the street at the financial literacy race that starts just before 8 o'clock to 9, and then hopefully people can, you were saying some people are going to pop over to yours. It's a whole day on the strip running.
Absolutely. We have plenty of folks that are coming from both races to our race. And so, yeah, anybody can sign up still, Windy25.org.
Perfect. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, stay with us. We're back.